The Bullied Boys Who Changed Everything by CappyZedd. Nick and Scott were the breakout heroes of our hometown. As kids, they embodied the worst of the nerd stereotype. Thick glasses, screeching voices, terrible acne, excelling in math while floundering in phys ed. Of course, they were bullied mercilessly. The teachers never stopped it, thinking this harassment would toughen them up, and their parents never spoke up, being secretly ashamed of their offspring. Faces in the toilet, underwear pulled up over their head, and the old standby of being jammed into lockers, right up to the night before graduation. Nick and Scott remained silent through the ceremony, instinctively avoiding tomatoes as they crossed for their diplomas. That afternoon, they got in an old sedan, took the one highway out of town, and disappeared from memory, for a time. When they returned a decade later, we could barely recognize them. With the slick hairstyles, expensive suits, tan cheeks, dazzling smiles, and bombshell partners. They now fit the stereotype of stock market billionaire. They'd struck it rich, and now returned to pay it forward. With manufacturing heading overseas, the town's major factory had all but shut down. Nick and Scott brought it out of ruin, bringing back the laid-off workers, many of them their former bullies, at increased pay. They were championed as heroes, as angels. With the economy booming, civic improvement followed. Roads were repaved, storefronts repainted, and the old high school was scheduled to be replaced with a modernized facility. With so many families leaving during the recession, most of the decrepit old building hadn't even been occupied for years. Men and women, myself among them, set to work hauling out desks, tearing down chalkboards, and ripping rusted lockers off the walls. As my crowbar jimmied one of them open, my scream of horror was drowned out by the siren on the hill. The others rushed to the window, gawking at the flames towering above the factory, and I abruptly forgot the gruesome sight of two rotted skeletons stuffed into a locker just a few feet away. People ran screaming down the hill, fumbling for their car keys, yelling about the fire hitting fuel tanks, and the emergency exits weren't opening for some reason, and there wasn't much time. I'd barely gotten to my SUV when the building blew, the shockwave sending balls of fire in all directions, igniting the surrounding forest with unnatural speed. I didn't look back. I'm on this side of the road now, barely 3 miles away. Something must have hit my fuel tank as I fled, and my cell is dead. I can't even feel the cold, though. The town is a bonfire of apocalyptic proportions. No other cars have emerged. The sun is almost finished setting before I finally see movement. Out of the flaming forest, an army of charred, twisted figures is emerging, spreading in all directions. Some of them fixing their blazing red eyes on me. Makes me think Nick and Scott are only just getting started.